When he's not busy at the helm of his own show, CNN anchor and chief Washington correspondent Jake Tapper is writing best-selling books. In his newest novel, he's blending fact with fiction, mixing in his own made-up characters with Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. Jake Tapper is joining us from Washington this morning. Pleasure to have you on the show again this morning, sir. Welcome.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, so the book is called The Devil May Dance. We're looking at a shot of it right now with two incredibly photogenic dogs. Talk to me about the premise, because it's fiction, but the jumping off point is based on a true story that I'm not sure too many people know about. Frank Sinatra thought...
That's right. So,
yeah. Oh, you tell me. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can do it. You can do it. I apologize.
I know. Please, we got you on the show. You tell me. Tell me the story.
Okay. So in 1960, the Rat Pack, which was, all the biggest performers of the day, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and others, they endorsed John F. Kennedy in his very, very close race for president against Richard Nixon. And then after Kennedy won this narrow election, Sinatra thought that, of course, his friend President Kennedy would come stay with him when he visited California. So Sinatra had all this work done to his compound in Rancho Mirage near Palm Springs. He had a helipad built, rooms, phone lines. But then at the same time, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, the president's brother, was going after organized crime and realized, Sinatra's friends with a lot of these mobsters I'm investigating. So Attorney General Kennedy had this decision to make. Does he offend one of his brother's biggest supporters and one of the biggest stars in Hollywood? Or does he let his brother sleep in a house where mobsters have slept? And that's the true story. And also just the premise for my novel, where I had Charlie and Margaret, the characters from my first book, go and investigate Sinatra to find out, is he really mobbed up, or is it just kind of an act for the press?
So Jake, let's talk research. When you go all in, you go all in. And you went down the rabbit hole research-wise. I know you had a whole chapter in here about Eisenhower that you had to scrap. In all the research you did on Frank Sinatra for this, was there anything that surprised you?
Well, there's a lot that surprised me. I did not know, for instance, that he had attempted suicide a couple times after Ava Gardner, the movie star to whom he was married, ended the relationship. I did not know the extent to which President Kennedy broke his heart during this era. And one of the things about him that's positive is I did not know that Sinatra was as strong a crusader for civil rights and racial equality as he was. He really did a lot for that in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, fighting to make sure that African-American and black members of his band were paid equally, could stay in the same hotels in Las Vegas, and more. I mean, that was really surprising to me.
Jake, talk to me about the responsibility of taking very real people and putting them in a fictitious setting and essentially telling a story that didn't happen using real people. How did you thread that needle?
It's tough because, you and I, we deal in the world of nonfiction, and we try to be fair and accurate when covering real people. But obviously, when you're writing a novel, you can try to be fair, but you can't be accurate because you're making it all up. I mean, Charlie and Margaret didn't actually exist. They're figments of my imagination. So what I did is I just tried to stay true to the characters based on what I knew of them and doing a lot of research. And so, in the universe in which my characters live, I wasn't going to have Sinatra rip off his shirt and all of a sudden he's Spider-Man. I mean, that's just not the world in which Sinatra lived or my characters lived. But I tried to be fair. So, it's Sinatra presented warts and all, but at the end of the day, it's not an unsympathetic portrait of him. I think it's a fair one. But again, it's fiction, so people have to know that going in.
Reading it, you can't help but draw parallels between the book and present day in terms of the consequences of making connections with shady people, whether that be Frank Sinatra with the mafioso or bringing that current day to President Trump and the GOP.
I think that's exactly right. And you're hitting on something that's certainly implied in the book. The theme of the book, the subtext it's called The Devil May Dance. And the book is about what happens when you get into bed with people who are unsavory, whether it's Sinatra getting into bed with the mob or the Kennedys getting in bed with the Rat Pack or whatever. What does it do to you? And I think you can see that playing out right now with the Republican Party and Republican leadership. What does it do to House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy that he is now completely given his entire career over to Donald Trump and in service of the lie that Donald Trump actually won the election. It compromises you, and the extent to which that happens is up to you, but that's one of the themes of the book.
Jake, last question real quick. What's your favorite Frank Sinatra nickname? Chairman of the board, Old Blue Eyes, Skinny, Sultan of Swoon?
I like Old Blue Eyes, I guess, but they had a lot of them, and they weren't all nice. They weren't all they weren't all TV friendly. So let's stick with the TV friendly, morning friendly Old Blue Eyes, I guess.
Hey, Jake, congratulations on the book. Thanks so much for joining us on Your Morning.
Thanks so much, Ben. Great to see you again.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.